Hi, welcome to Craft with Kathy and Tipsy Tuesday. And for Tipsy Tuesday, we're actually going to be going over some tips. Some tips for organizing your supplies, organizing transfers, that type of thing. And I've got an alternative way for you to organize your transfers. And it's something that I've known about for a while, but I actually have never done it or whatever, and I don't know why I've waited so long, because I think it'll be really, really helpful for me. Anyway, grab something to drink, get comfy, and let's jump right on in. I'm coming at you from the suburbs west of Chicago, where we have had a sweltering hot day today. It's still 93 degrees outside. I don't know if we passed or hit 100. I know it was 99 the last time I looked, and at that point I didn't really care anymore. What can you do when it's that hot, right? So anyway, what I'd like to ask is share your tips for organizing your craft supplies. Drop me a line in the comments and just give me a hint of something that you do. Share it with the group or a picture or whatever else. And for everyone who drops a comment, I will put all your names in a little basket and do a drawing for some Happy Mail that I'm sure you'll enjoy. So go ahead and do that. Something, it doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be major. Anything that you find helps keep yourself more organized, just let us all know. Let's share it and help each other out. I'm not the most organized person, to say the least. I've had this issue with avoiding routine since the time I was a kid. I don't know why, but I have to admit that, once I started applying the thing that's used in kindergarten classrooms of having a place for everything, it has made my life a little bit easier. Hi Terry, how you doing? But it's kind of hard to implement it as an adult. But anyway, so I try. And when I need to look for something and I know exactly where it is and I go to it and I find it, it's nice, it's refreshing, it's easy, there's no scrounging for things. So anyway, what I want to go over tonight is a way of handling your transfers. I generally cut these are our summer minis, and I generally cut them apart on the cut lines. So I would cut this transfer into 12 individual pieces because there's 12 different images or sayings on it. And I generally use my I forgot the name. My transfer scissors, because they're Teflon coated so the adhesive doesn't come up the blades, and they have a little bit longer of a blade, so it makes cutting them apart real easy. But what I'm going to show you, you can actually use your scissors, or you could actually use a rotary blade. And this is what I did. If I put somewhat light pressure, I'm trying to think of the best way to do this, not real heavy pressure here, and I know I should have a ruler, and as I'm talking about being organized, I know where my ruler is supposed to live, but it's not there. And we won't go into why, but it really isn't. This isn't my fault. So I'm going to go over this with my rotary cutter, and and my thing shifted a little bit. I didn't want that to happen. Now let's see how this works. I don't think I put enough pressure to cut it. But what I want to do, is I want to cut, I didn't do enough and I wasn't real straight. I want to cut the transfer, but I do not want to cut the carrier sheet or the backing sheet behind it. And I'll show you why in a second. I swear using a rotary cutter is much easier if you're standing. Okay, so I cut there fine. I'm a little crooked here. So basically, what I would do with this is just enough pressure to cut through the transfer, which is vinyl and silkscreen, but not so much to actually cut through the carrier sheet behind it. So as normally I would end up cutting these into 12 individual sections, 12 individual pieces, which with each carrier sheet cut through. It's not what I'm doing here. I've got 1, 2, 3. And I haven't cut, oops, I didn't cut that, did I? Maybe I didn't. So I did not, I'm keeping the carrier sheet intact, and what this allows me to do is when I'm finished, I'm probably better with the scissors instead of the rotary cutters. What it allows me to do is when I'm finished using these transfers, and I'm finished with my project, I can put them back on the carrier sheet that's intact, like this. Just line them back up on it. Let's pretend these are washed and cleaned, etc. I put that on top of cellophane. That wasn't my brightest move there. I'm sorry, it's warm in here. My hands are sticky. And then put this back in the little cellophane envelope that it came in one whole piece, as opposed to 12 individual pieces. And the reason I like doing that, or that I think I'm going to like doing that, because this is my new thing that I'm doing, is this way when I hang them up, because I do hang my transfers in a little armoire, I put either a little hook, that, you know, a little squeeze hook thing, I can't think what it's called, or a hanger. I could throw a hanger right through it, and I just hang these in an armoire. But once I have them cut into 12 individual pieces along with the carrier sheet or the backer, then I end up with all these little pieces at the bottom of my envelope, and I can't really see everything that made up this transfer, this entire transfer, like these summer minis. So this way, it'll allow me to put them on a backer sheet that's still intact, put them in the envelope, and hang them up. And when I'm looking for a particular transfer, then I could actually see all the pieces of this without having to go back to catalog or wonder. I know some people actually take, put it in backwards, take like a photocopy of their transfers before they cut it apart. And you could do that, you know, on your scanner or your printer or your copier or whatever. Right in the middle of my life. Anyway, so you can hang this up and it's intact. And where it's really nice is on your larger transfers. For example, this one is a 12 by 18 with 4 pieces. See the cut lines? What I could do with this, let's see which side opens up here. I've got some interesting ideas for this transfer, and I actually meant to use it a while back, and I haven't. But I think this flip-flop season would go great on our little simple shapes, our rectangular simple shapes. And this could be very, very pretty and simple, and the vacation one would be nice with a sunset background, whatever. So I've got a lot of different ideas for this particular transfer. But like I said, if I cut this, just the transfer itself, into the individual pieces as opposed to the carrier sheet to go with it, then it makes storage much simpler. Because the carrier sheet will be intact, and when I hang it up, then I could see the full transfer, see all the pieces. And yes, if I get this just in the right position, I could kind of slide across and just go across that cutting line instead of closing and opening my scissors. Just let the blade do the work and cut it. So isn't that much simpler, and it might be a little bit easier to actually see what you have. Otherwise, they'd be in front of each other, and I'd only see one of them through the the cellophane bag. So that's my little tip for today. If you would be kind enough to share some of your tips, like I said, I'm going to do a drawing for everybody who comments with a tip, whether it's just a little sentence and some text or you want to include a pic. That's fine, either works, but let's share some ideas that we use for organizing things. Make life easier for all of us in reality. And I know I've got this crooked. It's warm in here. We've had a battle going on all day because Mom's always cold. And I'm really trying to get her weight up. I'm making a little headway, but it's been challenging because her tastes change very frequently. So she's always cold, and every time she comes into the kitchen, which I thought it was a good idea, instead of getting the AC fixed, the window air, because then I could at least control and keep where she is a little bit warmer than where I am or whatever. But I'm constantly turning it on and turning it off, which is a little crazy, and because of that, unfortunately, it's still warmer in here than I would particularly like it. Yeah, Mom could be challenging sometimes. She's generally very, very sweet, but she is a little stubborn, which has actually helped her recover as well as she did from the stroke. So that's all good in itself. But on the flip side, like today, when a bad storm came through here yesterday and knocked a tree on the property where I used to live across the street down, and actually it wasn't a tree. I thought it was a tree. It was such a big branch that it actually looked like a tree. So that had to be, the rest of it had to be cut down and basically hauled away today. And when Mom saw the cherry picker and everyone out there, she wanted to sit outside and watch, which was fine, but I don't like having her out in the heat. Even though it was 11 o'clock this morning, it was still pretty warm by that time. So it was a battle getting her in. Sometimes what you have to do for her own good. I feel bad when she can't have her way, but when it's for her own health, I've got to kind of insist. So you have to keep her a little bit more hydrated and cooler with these kind of temps. So that's my little tip for Tipsy Tuesday. I am not drinking anything. I've had so much iced tea and whatever today, and lemonade, and that I just really didn't feel like drinking anything else. I hope this was valuable. I mean, you obviously don't have to do it. You're free to cut through the carrier sheet. There's no problem with that. You can buy the 8.5 by 11 inch transfer, the carrier sheets by themselves if you ever damage one or lose one or the dog eats it or something like that. But as of this point, we cannot order the larger sizes. Just the 8.5 by 11 is available. And I think the suggestion's been put in to be able to purchase the larger ones. So that's always an idea. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I surely do appreciate it. I'm going to try and get a little bit more on track as soon as I can get her a little bit more settled with the restlessness that she's dealing with. I want to get back to the normal, and hopefully, if it is a med thing, she only has a couple more days of the medicine, so whatever. So we're working with it, and I'm dealing with it as best as I can. I apologize. I know I need to go back and edit something out of this. I just really have no control over how things fly sometimes. Anyway, comment away. Please share an idea that you have. This is my little tip for today. One thing also that I've done, and I shared this, I know I talked about this probably a couple months ago now. Someone had asked, how do I share the finished projects, like the framed items or whatever. And I didn't know how I was going to. I've kind of had them different ways, and none of them were really protecting things properly, so I wasn't happy with it. But what I ended up doing is, I don't know what to call them, but there are these metal racks that are probably about this long and about that deep and about this high, and they might have like 8 dividers in them. and they can be used for filing folders or papers in a file cabinet when you do not have the folders with the little hooks that hang on the rod. So what I've been doing is I've just been basically putting them in there, and if, depending upon what the frame is or whatever, some bubble wrap in between so nothing scratches each other. And if it's something that I'm going to use frequently, it's on top of my desk. I've got this little sorter thing on the back of my desk, and it's up there. If it's something that I won't be using until another season, I'm just putting them in like sliding drawers that go underneath a platform bed, and that way they're easy access, but they're not going to get damaged or fall or get dusty or be in the way. So that's what I'm doing for like my larger frames, well, even the 8.5 by or the 9 by 12 frames. So my finished projects are the larger things. That's how I'm storing them. If that helps anybody. Any questions, just let me know. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good one. See you soon.